Hi, I am so excited to be sharing with you today my brilliant pathway to stress-free success at home and at work. I was thinking this morning about what causes us to be so stressed out. I mean, it's sort of like an epidemic in this culture, isn't it? We are working more hours than most other countries work. Our people work more hours, except I think maybe Japan. So there's a sort of a cultural expectation of working hard. Don't we celebrate how hard we work? Don't we compare ourselves to other people? Don't we feel like if I'm so busy I can't fit you in my schedule, then I must be really important? So part of it is culture, part of it is habit. Maybe if you were brought up to believe that to be busy is the safe place to be, or it's expected, or if you're not busy, your mom or dad comes in and tells you you're a lazy bones, so you learn to stay busy all the time. I know that that was true for me. If I was busy, I was going to get less grief from my mom. So part of it is that. Part of it is, now this is interesting, part of it is that there's actually a fear of not being busy. Because if you stop running around all the time, you might actually find out that you're unhappy. You might actually have to face your feelings. You're certainly going to have to face your thoughts and what they're trying to tell you. And certainly you're going to become more aware of your body, which you've been ignoring because you're so busy running around. So why are people unhappy? Actually, people are unhappy in this culture. There is this rampant problem with overweight and illness. And a lot of that is all the response to stress. Where does this stress come from? Partly it's an inside job and partly it's an outside job. The only part you're able to control, though, is the inside job, is your own behavior and how that creates stress in your life. So I know about stress and emotions and how this all works because I've been working with myself and I've been working with people around grief and loss for over 20 years. I've helped people reinvent their lives, transform their lives. And what I found is that a lot of them begin from that place of grief, and grief doesn't allow you to resist your emotions anymore. Why are we so afraid of our emotions? A lot of us have grown up in a family or have had experiences in our lives that we would rather forget. So rather than heal the wounds, the emotional wounds, we repress them. And again, society really encourages us to repress those emotions. My own experience showed me that it's the loss that provokes the emotion. And let me explain. I set out on my journey of healing when I was 2 years old. Actually, that's when the need for healing started. I was 2 years old, and my father, who I adored, he was the sun and moon to me. He was the person I had bonded with, was transferred to Japan. Now, we were only separated for several months, but for a 2-year-old, it was eternity. And my mother, who I had not bonded with, was busy moving a household with me and two other children. She had no time for me. So in that 2-year-old egocentric brain of mine, I decided that the reason my father had left me was that I was not good enough. I was not worthy. I was not perfect enough. And so I decided to become a people pleaser. That is to figure out what you want and give it to you so that I can get the approval and love that I needed. Now, this isn't an ego thing that you need love and approval. This is actually a biological thing that human beings have, especially infants. They're so dependent and they're so vulnerable. And studies have shown of early childhood growing up Those first 3 years are critical. And so even a small, what seems like an insignificant disruption can have huge impact on children. And that's what happened to me. And I became a people pleaser. And then in addition, I had incredible success. I got the attention. I did really well in school, National Honor Society, Phi Beta Kappa, one of 2 graduate students in my class to earn her PhD. I had it down. I thought I had life figured out. But then I got 3 wake-up calls, 3 wake-up calls that woke me up to my error, to the way in which I was doing things wrong. The first was that I lost my first teaching job because you can't please all the people all the time. And because, this is the kicker, my students needed me to lead, and all I knew how to do was please. And leadership is a whole different realm. And that's actually what I also teach my clients, is to give up pleasing and become leaders. So I lost the first teaching job. Then my husband left me. It was a few years later, and he left me for another woman. There was that abandonment again. So what did I do? Each time I went through a loss, I explored more deeply what my issue was. Maybe not intentionally, maybe it was just my inner self looking after me. So the first time when I lost the job, I ended up working in a group home for court adjudicated, disturbed, upset adolescents. And I had to learn to work with them by learning how to nurture, which I didn't know how because my mother had never taught me how to nurture. And through nurturing them, I learned how to nurture myself. I learned how important it is for children to need to have that nurturing, that caring. And even though we were using a behavior program, which is very, very powerful, the number one lesson I learned was that the biggest motivator is not chocolates. It's not recreational activities. It's the regard of the person you care about. So as house parents, we had huge influence on our children, the children we were working with, when we realized that they wanted our regard. They were a little wacko, and so sometimes it got a little crazy. But that was a really important lesson. So the next one, when my husband left me, I ran off to a spiritual community. And I studied with a spiritual teacher for over 35 years. And I thought, oh, relationships don't matter in a spiritual community. All that matters is your connection with the divine. But it reconnected me with my brilliance, with who I really am. And so when I met my current husband, I had some intelligence going on. I realized that if I didn't work on this abandonment issue, I was going to trash this relationship. So I did the work. I did the inner work. I did the healing. And then shortly thereafter, both my parents died, and I really woke up. I realized, oh my goodness, we only have a short time in our lives to make our mark, to leave our legacy. And that led me to working around loss and grief, and now working with people to reinvent their lives after loss. Because loss or upset or change breaks us out of our habits and helps us, gives us the motivation to change, to do things differently. I would like to go in deeper into the three steps that I used to heal myself, and invite you to go ahead and apply them to your own life. So the first one, the number one, and the one that I use a lot, so much with my clients to heal them, to heal their past, heal their grief, is to make friends with your body. My belief is that we are spiritual beings having a human adventure. When you take that attitude, you believe, you have this sense that everything is for a purpose, that it has a divine guidance. But also you have to remember that as a spiritual being, you're inhabiting these bodies, and they have their own agenda. One of those agendas is to keep you alive. In fact, it's the prime directive. All those 3 billion cells, 300 billion cells in you are all designed to keep you alive. And we have a lot of systems set up that will be triggered when there is that fear. The problem is that sometimes our mind, based on what we experienced in our childhood or through trauma, will tell the body to fear when it doesn't need to be afraid. So part of this process of working with your body is working also on your thoughts, the way in which you think about things. They are interconnected. So the body needs to feel safe. The body needs to feel loved. Yes, part of it is not just being safe that, dinosaurs won't gobble you up. Part of it is feeling safe that your community, that the people that you care about love you. And when you're afraid that you're going to be rejected, that is a big trigger. So you need to learn to work with your body and the emotions that come up. And when you do that, when you start to change your behavior and those emotions come up and you have the tools for dealing, listening to your body and healing, that's when the healing happens. It is my most powerful tool when I work with my clients, is to help them to listen inside, to hear what's really going on. Now, the second key, and this fits right in with my own awakening, is doing what you love and loving what you do. So many of us believe that we have to work in jobs and be people that we aren't. And that's what causes the stress. That's what causes the overwhelm, is that we're always trying to prove ourselves worthy and good enough, or we're trying to control things so that we feel safe. And in controlling, we restrict our brilliance, who we really are. So when you discover what it is that you're meant to do, and this can be confusing because, there's that mind working there telling you, oh, you should do this or you should do that, which is really early childhood programming about how you're supposed to be and what people are telling you you're supposed to be. And you're being afraid that they're going to reject you. But when you do what you love to do, when you do what you're designed, what your spirit programs you to do, it's enough. You feel contentment. You feel love. You love yourself, and you stop chasing after the approval of others. And when you stop chasing after the approval of others, you cut out most of the stress in your life. When you become comfortable with who you are, you're able to handle the ups and downs, the changes that happen, because you're operating from that place of brilliance. Now, the third step is enroll your community. You are a human being, you are a spiritual being having a human adventure. And part of being a human is that you're social and that you need to connect with other beings. That makes your body feel safe and loved and nurtured. Here's the thing, something I learned a long time ago. You can't please all of the people all of the time. So you have to let go of that need to have everybody love you. You have to be discerning. You have to decide that the only people that really matter are those that love you and approve of you for being who you are. And that's going to be scary at first, because part of you is going, when you start to change, is going to attract the people that will confirm that you're doing the wrong thing. It's just inevitable. And that's why I found I needed a coach. I needed to work with people who were going to help reinforce the new behavior until I started getting success. So if that's you and you could use some support around that, around changing your life, I have many, many ways in which you can connect with me, both free trainings and also working in a mastermind or even working one-on-one. So the three Three things. Oh, so the community, when you work from being yourself and you let go of and let your community evolve into those people who really support you, then whatever you do is going to be successful because it's coming from who you are. And the people who are there to affirm you are your perfect people. It's a perfect win-win. You have your impact because you are coming from who you truly are. There is no stress. You're being yourself. Sound great? So if you are ready to stop the practice, the habit of overwhelm and stress, if you're ready to stop beating your body up with this crazy hamster wheel existence, if you're ready to stop overeating, overworking, over texting, over drinking, and live a life that's really, really enjoyable and happy, and that enables you to have both your work success and your relationship and your health, then reach out to me and let's have a conversation. Or reach out and take advantage of my free offers and my free training opportunities. Either way, you can't help but be successful and win. Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you. And bye for now. Be brilliant.